If you think you're eating real food at these 5 popular restaurants, you might want to check the ingredient list before you check out, because what's on your plate might be more science experiment than actual meal. Once you know what's really in that sandwich, salad, or so-called homemade dessert, you might never look at these chains the same way again. Fake ingredients are everywhere in the restaurant industry, but some chains have turned deception into an art form. We're talking about meals where the beef isn't fully beef, the tuna might not be tuna at all, and the fresh pasta you ordered was frozen in a factory 3 months ago. The worst part? Millions of people eat at these places every single day, completely unaware that their lunch is held together with fillers, binders, lab-created flavors, and enough preservatives to outlast an apocalypse bunker supply. You see the commercials with the sizzling grills and the happy families, but what you don't see is the truth behind the kitchen doors. Drop a comment if you've eaten at any of these 5 restaurants this week, and if you want to know which chains are hiding the most, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're about to expose the biggest ingredient liars in fast casual dining. Let's start with the chain that built an empire on a lie so big, even the courts had to step in. Number 5. Subway, where fresh is just a 4-letter word. Subway calls itself fresh, healthy, and made to order. But when lab tests can't even confirm that your tuna sandwich contains actual tuna and court rulings say your bread is legally cake, you have to wonder what exactly you're eating between those toasted lies. Let's start with the tuna scandal that went viral and never really got resolved. Multiple lab tests, conducted in 2021, found no amplifiable tuna DNA in samples taken from Subway locations. That means scientists could not confirm the presence of actual tuna in the tuna. It's like ordering orange juice and getting told, well, it's orange-colored liquid. Then there's the bread situation. In Ireland, a court ruled that Subway's bread contains too much sugar to legally be classified as bread under tax law. The rolls have more sugar per serving than some glazed donuts. So that 6-inch turkey sub you thought was healthy? You're basically eating cake with lunch meat. The sugar content is so high it's used to mask the taste of preservatives and cheap flour. One nutritionist called it dessert, disguised as a sandwich foundation. Even the vegetables aren't safe. Pre-cut lettuce arrives in bags and sits in bins for hours, sometimes days, losing nutrients and gaining bacteria. The tomatoes are often gassed to appear ripe. And those pickles? Soaked in enough preservatives to survive a nuclear winter. One health inspector noted that the fresh veggies at a New Jersey location looked like they'd been marinating in regret. Subway's entire business model relies on the illusion of customization and freshness. You watch them assemble your sandwich right in front of you, so it must be real, right? Wrong. You're just watching someone arrange pre-processed ingredients in a line. It's food theater. So next time you're craving a sub, remember, fresh is just marketing, and that footlong might be real in length, but everything else about it is highly questionable. But if you think Subway's ingredients are bad, wait until you hear what's really in your Taco Bell burrito. Number 4. Taco Bell, the fast food science experiment. Let's talk about that seasoned beef everyone seems to love. Taco Bell's beef is 88% real beef. The other 12%? A cocktail of ingredients that reads like a chemistry final. We're talking oats, soy lecithin, maltodextrin, anti-caking agents, and silicon dioxide. And what is silicon dioxide, you ask? It's the same compound found in sand and used to make glass. You're not just eating a taco, you're crunching on beach minerals with a side of meat-flavored paste. Taco Bell defended this mixture by saying all ingredients are safe and approved. But safe doesn't mean real, and approved doesn't mean appetizing. Customers have described the beef as gritty, weirdly sweet, and having a texture that feels more like wet cardboard than ground meat. Now let's move to the beans, because this is where things get truly dystopian. A former employee posted a viral video showing exactly how Taco Bell makes its refried beans. It starts with a bag of brown powder. Not cooked beans, not canned beans, powder. You dump it into a tub of hot water, Stir until it turns into a thick, mushy paste, and serve it to customers as an authentic Mexican staple. And the cheese? It's not cheese. It's a cheese product, which is corporate speak for, we can't legally call this cheese. Taco Bell markets itself as bold, flavorful, and affordable. And it is affordable, because when your ingredients are 12% filler and your beans are powder, overhead costs drop faster than food quality. You think you're getting a quick Mexican-inspired meal. What you're actually getting is engineered food that was designed in a lab, assembled in a factory, and microwaved by someone making minimum wage. So, next time you're in line at the drive-thru at 2 in the morning, think about what's in your Crunchwrap Supreme. But if fake beef and powdered beans aren't enough to turn your stomach, wait until you hear what Olive Garden is hiding behind those unlimited breadsticks. Number 3. Olive Garden wants you to believe you're dining in Italy, but the only trip your food has taken is from a factory freezer to an industrial microwave. Let's start with that creamy Alfredo sauce everyone raves about. It's not made with butter, cream, and Parmesan like it would be in an actual Italian kitchen. It comes in industrial-sized plastic pouches, pre-mixed with stabilizers, thickeners, and enough preservatives to last longer than most marriages. Now, let's talk about those endless breadsticks that people lose their minds over. They arrive frozen. They're made from enriched flour, partially hydrogenated oils, and dough conditioners. The restaurant thaws them, brushes them with margarine, not butter, that's been mixed with garlic salt and artificial flavoring, then bakes them until they're warm enough to fool you into thinking they're fresh. And those signature soups? Chicken gnocchi, pasta e fagioli, minestrone? All of them arrive in plastic bags, frozen solid, and get reheated in giant pots. The gnocchi are dense little dough balls that taste more like paste than potato. A customer review described them as edible ping-pong balls floating in regret. Olive Garden's entire business model is built on the illusion of authenticity. The Tuscan farmhouse decor, the Italian-sounding menu items, the promise of when you're here, your family. But no Italian family would serve you frozen pasta reheated in a bag. So next time someone suggests Olive Garden for a nice dinner, just remember, you're paying $15 for a microwave meal with breadsticks. But if you think Italian food can't get more fake, wait until you see what's hiding inside your orange chicken at Panda Express. Number 2. Panda Express. Orange chicken made of orange lies. That orange chicken you're craving isn't made from chicken breast. It's mechanically separated poultry, deep-fried in questionable oil, and coated in a sauce that's more corn syrup than citrus. Let's break down what mechanically separated chicken actually means, because it's not a term anyone uses when they want you to keep eating. It's a process where chicken carcasses, the parts left over after all the good meat is removed, are forced through a machine under high pressure. What comes out the other side is a pink paste that includes bone fragments, connective tissue, and whatever else was clinging to the skeleton. Then, there's the teriyaki chicken, which sounds healthy until you realize it's been marinated in a mixture that's 40% sugar. The chicken itself is often dark meat scraps, pressed together and formed into strips. A food scientist who reviewed Panda Express's ingredient lists noted that many proteins contain phosphates and modified food starches to retain moisture and improve texture. Translation: the meat is pumped full of chemicals to make low-quality cuts seem juicier than they actually are. Let's address the fried rice next. Panda Express claims their fried rice is made fresh, but former workers tell a different story. The rice is often yesterday's steamed rice, or sometimes even older, that gets tossed in a wok with frozen peas, carrots, scrambled egg product, and soy sauce. Panda Express has built an empire on orange chicken and convenience, but convenience comes at a cost, and that cost is real ingredients. If mechanically separated chicken and corn syrup sauce haven't killed your appetite yet, get ready for the grand finale, because the #1 chain serving fake ingredients might actually surprise you. Number 1. The Cheesecake Factory, where nothing is made in any factory you'd want to visit. Let's start with the cheesecakes, because the name of the restaurant should mean something, right? Wrong. When you order a slice, it gets pulled from a freezer, thawed under heat lamps, and plated with a drizzle of sauce. Here's what most people don't know. That creamy texture you love isn't from fresh cream cheese. It's from stabilizers, emulsifiers, and enough preservatives to keep each slice shelf-stable for months. Now let's talk about that massive menu, the one that makes you feel like you have endless options. It's a lie. Most dishes are built from the same base ingredients: frozen pasta, pre-cooked proteins, and industrial sauces that arrive in plastic pouches. One line cook confessed that they could make 20 different menu items using the same 6 ingredients, just plated differently. The proteins are where things get especially questionable. The chicken arrives pre-seasoned, pre-cooked, and vacuum-sealed. It's reheated to order, which is why it often comes out rubbery or dry. The fish is frozen in blocks, often mislabeled as higher quality species than it actually is. Industry investigations have found that restaurants frequently substitute cheaper fish like Vietnamese catfish and call it grouper or snapper. You think you're paying premium prices for premium fish. You're actually paying $25 for swai that costs $3 per pound wholesale. Here's what's really at stake. You're paying upscale casual dining prices for fast food quality ingredients. The average entree costs between $15 and $30. For that price, you could buy fresh ingredients and make 3 meals at home. But the Cheesecake Factory banks on you not knowing the difference. They bank on the massive menu overwhelming you into thinking you're getting value. The Cheesecake Factory's business model is genius from a profit standpoint and terrifying from a food quality standpoint. They've convinced millions of people that a massive menu means better options, when really, it just means more ways to recombine the same frozen ingredients. You think you're treating yourself to a nice dinner. What you're actually doing is paying a premium for a TV dinner that someone else microwaved and put on a fancy plate. So next time you're tempted by that spiral-bound novel of a menu, remember, variety doesn't mean quality, and expensive doesn't mean real. You're not dining at the Cheesecake Factory. You're paying rent on their freezer space, one overpriced pasta dish at a time. And that's the truth about the 5 restaurants serving the most fake ingredients in America. 5 restaurants, hundreds of menu items, and almost nothing real among them. The pattern is clear. When chains prioritize profit over ingredients, you get food that's engineered, not cooked. Here's what connects all 5 of these chains. They've mastered the art of making processed food seem fresh. They use marketing buzzwords like handcrafted, artisan, made fresh daily, and family recipes. But behind those claims are industrial freezers, vacuum-sealed pouches, and ingredient lists that read like pharmaceutical warnings. The health risks are real, and they're not just about fake ingredients tasting bad. You might think an upset stomach or food poisoning is just bad luck, but often, it's the direct result of cost-cutting measures that put speed and profit ahead of your safety. Health inspection data from across the country shows recurring violations at these chains: improper food storage, cross-contamination between raw and cooked items, employees not washing hands between tasks, temperature logs falsified or skipped entirely. One inspector who has visited hundreds of locations over a 20-year career said this: "The bigger the chain, the more they rely on systems instead of people. And when those systems fail, nobody notices until someone gets sick." This isn't about individual workers making bad choices. This is about corporate policies that create conditions where bad choices become standard procedure. When profit margins are tight and labor costs are minimized, corners get cut. And those corners are usually the ones that keep your food safe, fresh, and actually real. Here's what most people don't realize. You have more power than you think. Every time you choose where to eat, you're voting with your dollars. When you support chains that use fake ingredients, you're telling them it's okay to keep doing it. But when you ask questions, read ingredient lists, and choose restaurants that actually cook real food, you're demanding better. Not every restaurant is going to be perfect, but there's a difference between occasional shortcuts and systematic deception. The truth is, these 5 chains survive because people keep eating there, not because the food is good, but because it's convenient, familiar, and heavily marketed. You see the commercials during your favorite shows? You pass the locations on your way home from work? The branding becomes so embedded in your routine that you stop questioning what you're actually putting in your body. If you're still eating at these places, at least go in with your eyes open. You can still choose to eat there, but don't pretend it's real food. And definitely don't pretend it's worth what you're paying for it. The restaurant industry won't regulate itself. They'll keep using the cheapest ingredients they can get away with as long as customers keep showing up. But once you know the truth, once you see behind the marketing and the carefully staged photos, it's hard to unsee it. So, before you order that next footlong, burrito, or slice of frozen cheesecake, ask yourself, is this really what I want to put in my body? Because the answer might surprise you. Here's the part that should make you angry. They know. Corporate executives, marketing teams, food scientists, they all know exactly what's in the food and exactly how it's made. And then they go on camera and talk about quality, freshness, and family values. The health consequences aren't theoretical. They're happening right now to millions of people who eat at these chains regularly. High sodium intake from preserved and processed foods leads to hypertension and heart disease. Excessive sugar consumption from sauces and breading contributes to diabetes and obesity. Chemical preservatives and additives have been linked to digestive issues, inflammation, and even behavioral changes in children. One pediatric nutritionist said that kids who eat fast casual food more than twice a week show measurably higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood work. Health departments shut down restaurant locations every week for violations, but those closures rarely make the news. The chains pay the fines, retrain the staff, and reopen within days. The cycle continues because the profit margins are too good to stop. Former health inspectors have shared horror stories that never make it into official reports. One described finding expired chicken being relabeled with new dates at a major chain location. Another discovered that ice machines, the ones dispensing ice into your drinks, were growing black mold and had never been properly cleaned since installation. The financial exploitation is just as troubling. These chains target lower-income neighborhoods with value menus and promotional deals. They position themselves as affordable family dining options. But what they're really doing is selling poor-quality food to people who may not have better options nearby. It's a form of economic predation. Offer cheap prices on fake ingredients, market it as a good deal, and profit from communities that deserve access to real, nutritious food. One community health advocate said it plainly. These chains aren't feeding people. They're extracting money from people while giving them the bare minimum in return. What's most insidious is how these chains have shaped our expectations of what food should cost and taste like. An entire generation has grown up thinking that chicken should be rubbery, that cheese should be neon orange, that pasta should be mushy, and that all of this is normal. Real food, actual ingredients prepared properly, now seems expensive and inconvenient by comparison. We've been conditioned to accept fake as the baseline. And that conditioning serves corporate interests perfectly because real ingredients cut into profit margins. The question isn't whether these chains will change. They won't, not voluntarily. The question is whether you'll keep supporting them now that you know the truth. Every meal you buy from these restaurants is an endorsement of their practices. Every dollar you spend tells them that fake ingredients are acceptable. And every time you stay silent instead of demanding better, you're participating in a system that prioritizes profit over people. That might sound dramatic, but it's accurate. Food is personal. What you eat becomes part of your body, and you deserve to know exactly what that is. The regulatory system that's supposed to protect consumers is severely underfunded and overwhelmed. Health inspectors are responsible for hundreds of establishments each, making frequent surprise visits nearly impossible. Most restaurants get inspected once or twice a year at most. That means they can operate with substandard practices for months between inspections. And even when violations are found, the penalties are often minimal. A few $100 fine for a multi-million-dollar location is just the cost of doing business. There's no real incentive to change. What's happening at these 5 chains isn't unique. It's representative of a much larger problem in the American food industry. When corporations grow large enough, they gain enormous power over suppliers, regulators, and even consumer perception. They can demand cheaper ingredients from suppliers who have no choice but to comply or lose the contract. They can lobby lawmakers to keep regulations weak and enforcement limited. They can spend millions on advertising to reshape how people think about food quality. The result is a system where fake ingredients aren't just accepted, they're practically required to stay competitive. The labor practices at these chains make the food quality issues even worse. Most kitchen staff are paid minimum wage, or barely above it, given minimal training, and pushed to work as fast as possible. Turnover rates are astronomical, meaning new, inexperienced workers are constantly being thrown into high-pressure situations without adequate knowledge of food safety protocols. One former trainer said they were given 2 days to teach new hires everything about food prep, cooking, and safety. 2 days to learn procedures that professional chefs spend years mastering. The result is predictable. Mistakes happen constantly. And here's something most people never consider: the mental and emotional toll of working in these environments. Employees know the food is fake. They see the bags and pouches and frozen blocks every shift. They watch customers pay premium prices for reheated processed ingredients. Some workers have admitted feeling guilty serving food they wouldn't eat themselves. Others have become so desensitized they don't even think about it anymore. One line cook said it best: "You either quit because you can't stand what you're doing, or you stay and stop caring. Neither option results in better food for customers." The conspiracy of silence extends to franchise owners as well. Many franchisees start their businesses believing in the brand, thinking they're providing a valuable service to their community. But once they're locked into contracts with corporate suppliers and mandatory purchasing agreements, they discover they have almost no control over ingredient quality. They're required to use approved vendors, follow standardized recipes, and maintain specific food costs. If they try to upgrade ingredients or improve quality, corporate threatens to revoke their franchise license. They're trapped in a system that prioritizes uniformity and profit over everything else. So here we are, at the end of this investigation, staring at 5 massive restaurant chains that collectively serve millions of meals every single day. And the question that should be burning in your mind right now is this: if these 5 are this bad, how many other chains are doing the exact same thing? The answer might terrify you. Remember at the beginning when we said you might want to check the ingredient list before you check out? Now you know why. These 5 restaurants have built empires on fake ingredients, false advertising, and the trust of customers who never thought to question what was really on their plates. The truth is simple. You deserve better than fake ingredients served at real prices. You deserve to know what you're eating, where it comes from, and whether it's actually safe. These chains won't tell you voluntarily. They'll keep using the cheapest ingredients they can find, marketing them with beautiful photos and empty promises, and banking on the fact that most people won't ask questions. But now you know, and knowledge changes everything. Eating out should be a treat, not a gamble with your health and your wallet. Trust your instincts, read the ingredients, and demand transparency. Because at the end of the day, food should fuel you, not fool you. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the counter, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest food content that actually tells you the truth. Drop a comment and let us know which restaurant shocked you the most, or if you've had your own nightmare experience at any of these chains. And if you know someone who still thinks Subway is healthy or that Olive Garden is authentic Italian, share this video with them. They deserve to know what they're really eating. Thanks for watching. And remember, the truth isn't always on the menu, but we'll always serve it to you straight.